Late at night, Aluna stands on a bridge by a river, intending to end her life by jumping into the water. The river's rapid current makes a loud noise as it flows. In her mind, she reflects on her decision and realizes the cold and pain she's experiencing, questioning her choice to jump into the river. Despite her struggles, Luna continues to sink into the water, unable to bear the pain. She pleads for it all to end. Suddenly, Luna feels something different and expresses a sense of relief, believing she can finally find peace by closing her eyes. Afterward, Luna finds herself at an unfamiliar house. She expresses pain, complaining about her head. Then she starts to explore the place and questions her surroundings. Noticing it doesn't resemble an emergency room, Luna sarcastically remarks that she wouldn't have been able to afford the hospital bills anyway. In a state of confusion, she wonders if this could be afterlife. As she looks at herself, she becomes even more puzzled and stands in a room, exclaiming her confusion. After a while, as Luna begins to piece things together, she realizes that this isn't the afterlife. Feeling disheartened, she murmurs, and then she suddenly detects a smell, and while sniffing the air, questions if she smells blood. However, she describes the feeling as more of a thirst. This realization causes her to become somewhat anxious. Sitting on the chair, Luna looks in the direction of the sound and thinks, this mouth-watering smell. Then she goes downstairs and drinks the spilled blood. She notices a chicken in a cage, seemingly watching her. Blood stains her mouth and she cleans it. The moment Luna wakes up in a new world, she realizes she is in a deserted wooden house situated within a forest. Exploring further, they discover a concealed slaughter chamber in the basement, along with the unsettling memory of consuming blood. The appearance of her eyes and fangs confirms her transformation into a vampire. Despite the shock, Luna finds themselves oddly drawn to the taste of blood, embracing her new identity as a blood-sucking vampire. With a clenched fist pounding on the table, Luna laments the failure of her own suicide attempt. Her voice filled with frustration, she questioned why even her leap from a height led to her transformation into an immortal vampire. The exasperation continues as she expresses her constant dissatisfaction with her endeavors, never aligning with her desires. Amidst her thoughts, a realization dawns. Luna wonders if she's lost even the ability to control when and how she can end her existence. Luna starts yelling and begins to try some strange methods to die, like silver knife. Painful but heals quickly. Garlic. Yummy cross. Just a cross doesn't do much. Then she attempts to fall from a high place, aiming for a wooden stake lodged into the ground. Even though it hurts, the villainess realizes she's not even close to dying and considers a failed attempt. After being pierced by a wooden stake, the girl reflects that she can't end things as she wants despite her wound healing instantly. Luna opens a room, takes a knife, and cuts her own throat, but nothing happens. Luna realizes she's entered an immortal vampire body without fatal weaknesses, determined to keep trying even if physical methods fail. Filled with dissatisfaction, Luna attempts to starve herself to death, but it doesn't work. She reflects on how many months have passed without a meal and acknowledges the unbearable pain of starvation. Realizing that even this method can end her life, she concludes that her attempt to die from starvation has also failed. Some time passes, and the girl reflects on her failed attempts to hurt herself, realizing that they only cause pain without leaving any scars. Luna acknowledges that both starving and stabbing were equally ineffective in ending her life. She questions if there's anything she hasn't tried yet. She shares her third realization since waking up in this world. She turns into a vicious vampire at night, but during the day she appears as a normal human. Facing a mirror, Luna noticing her fangs are gone as well. She's puzzled by the idea of a vampire changing forms between night and day, wondering if she's ever heard of such a thing before. She then approaches baby chicks and expresses frustration that the mornings have been quiet without their crowing. She hesitates to eat them and considers looking for food on the ground floor. Disheartened, she says nope, but then takes a deep breath and admits she was planning to eat them when they grew up anyway, just a bit early. Suddenly, the sound of the floor breaking interrupts her thoughts, and she is surprised about the coins she's found. Picking up a coin from the fallen coins, she wonders if she could find something to eat in town with it. Despite never having stepped out of the woods, she decides to give it a try. She takes the coin purse out and heads out of the woods. As she navigates, Luna observes that the forest is deep and the paths are complicated, noticing that even the starving animals are avoiding her. She questions whether she's going the right way and assumes that the town should have chickens for her to eat. Luna looks towards the market, where there's a bustling crowd. Observing all the activity, she begins to think, strange. As she sees people's clothes, she contemplates how everything seems unfamiliar. Unfamiliar clothes, faces, and language. These observations remind her once again that this isn't the world she knows. Luna reflects on being a vampire and acknowledges that at least the sight of these people doesn't make her mouth water, which would have made her already painful existence even worse to bear. In front of her, a person was selling chickens. Luna approaches him, and the seller asks how he can assist her. She responds that she'd like some live chickens. He confirms she's in the right place and asks how she wants them prepared. Luna says she wants them alive. After a brief search, the seller asks how many living chickens she's looking for. Luna shows him a coin and asks how many it would get her. He stammers a bit and says that should get her at least 10 chickens. Luna remarks that 10 would last her a couple of months. However, doubt crosses her mind, and Luna contemplates whether one coin is really worth 10 chickens. After thinking, she grabs the chicken seller by the collar and questions whether she looks like a fool to him. The seller seems confused and denies any knowledge of what she's talking about. Luna warns him that he'll pay the price for lying to her face. The chicken seller ponders that he had mistaken her for a Nave visitor. On the other side, Luna herself thinks that the situation doesn't feel right and she might get into trouble. The chicken seller then apologizes, admitting he was just messing around and that he didn't have the right change for a gold coin. He pleads for forgiveness. In her mind, she wonders if it's really a gold coin and reflects that the person whose body she's in must have been wealthy. Hearing voices from behind, Luna turns around to see what's happening and comments that there seems to be a fight going on. She notices a boy lying on the ground, telling someone in front of him that he'll pay them back soon. The person in front responds with frustration, saying that's what the boy had said last time and tells him to get lost. This boy name is Zach. Zach mutters that it was his last chance and sarcastically wonders where he'll get a loan from now. Zach addresses the man, Zach, asking if it's him again. Zach replies, humorously calling the man dear friend and asking if he could lend him some money, assuring that he's good for it. The man laughs, stating that the whole town knows Zach is a lazy cheat and he won't lend him money. Hearing this hurts Zach, and he sadly responds with a hurt tone, questioning how the man could call him lazy if he even knows who he is. The man's internal response indicates he's familiar with this kind of exchange. Zach declares that he is Zach Shufelt, the sole heir of the Shufelt household, hailing from a lineage of vampire hunters. Hearing this, Luna grabs him and asks what he just said. Confused, Zach repeats that he belongs to a lineage of vampire hunters. Luna tells him to follow her and starts pulling him along. Zach protests, demanding to be let go and pleading for release. Luna continues to drag Zach into the forest, and he struggles to free himself, asking why she's doing this and claiming he doesn't have any money. He pleads that if she gives him a few days, he'll. Before he can finish, Luna interrupts and tells him to shut up. Zach insists that if she gives him a chance, but again she cuts him off, instructing him to answer her question. Zach is confused and asks, what? Luna shows Zach a bag filled with gold coins, causing his demeanor to change, and he humorously asks how he can be of service to her. She then questions Zach if he indeed mentioned being from a lineage of vampire hunters, to which Zach confirms. Luna further inquires if he knows how to kill a vampire. In her mind, Luna thinks, finally. Excitedly, Zach explains that sunlight is a vampire's greatest weakness and that stabbing a stake through their heart during daylight when they're exposed should work. However, Luna disappointingly interjects that neither of those methods seem to work. Zach then suggests trying a silver weapon, but Luna's mind reflects her frustration, wondering if she should just kill him. Luna then responds to Zach, telling him that it didn't work either. Zach responds in disbelief, saying, "What? No way." Zach explains that those methods would work unless it's the ruler of the moon. Luna, intrigued, asks about the ruler of the moon. Then she grabs him and asks for his name again. Zach stammers, saying it's Zach. She persists, asking for his family name, and he responds that it's Shufelt. Confused, Zach wonders, what's up with her? In his mind. Thinking to herself, Luna connects the dots, realizing that Shufelt is the family name associated with the ruler of the moon. Luna exclaims his name mentally. Zach then exclaims that Shufelt is the name of the male protagonist in the novel he read. As Zach continues recounting the novel's story, he explains that The Hunter and the Saintess revolves around a romance between a vampire hunter and a saintess. The male protagonist, Frid, is the last surviving member of the Shufelt household, a bloodline of skilled vampire hunters. He is destined to travel the continent hunting creatures of the dark with the ultimate goal of breaking a family curse that forced his bloodline into eternal struggle. The curse's antagonist is Luna, the ruler of the moon, the worst vampire in the land. Frid's attempt to defeat Luna fails, leaving him on the brink of death. Cynthia, the female protagonist, discovers Frid while performing her temple chores and saves him. During his healing, Cynthia's true powers as a saintess become evident, and they join forces. Zach admits the joy he felt watching the male lead evolve as a character led him to finish the novel. After hearing the story of the novel, Luna thinking about the story and then the villainess cries out, "How did I become the villain of that story?" Luna then converses with herself, realizing that she is a vampire who changes form during the day, surviving both silver weaponry and wooden stakes. She knew something was off, especially since as the ruler of the moon, she should possess additional powers beyond immense strength. These include the ability to control darkness, take on a shadowy form, and conceal herself within shadows. Luna reflects that she's the final boss in the novel and wonders if this situation might be for the better. Luna contemplates the novel's ending, where Frid and Cynthia narrowly escape various life-threatening challenges before finally destroying Luna for good. In a saddened tone, she says, "The only problem is the pain." While Luna was immune to all other injuries, the wounds inflicted by Frid and Cynthia were an exception. Those wounds wouldn't heal, causing Luna to suffer endless pain. Luna laments that she's destined to live through the same pain. Luna is forced to endure this pain for 3 years, from the moment she's first gravely wounded until her death. Frustrated, she exclaims, "Screw the pain." Just then, Zach from behind interrupts with a chuckle, saying, if we're done." After saying that, Zach attempts to leave the scene, saying that if she ever needs him again, she should call on him. Before he can fully express himself, Luna grabs him and says, "Wait." Zach questions why they aren't done yet, and she takes a moment to think. Then she speaks up, saying that she doesn't have anything else to tell him, but there's an urgent matter. Luna reflects on this, thinking about Zach's dark blue hair and purple eyes, which are typical traits of a Shufelt. She muses that he's pretty handsome, just as a typical male Leaves bloodline should be. Zach pleads to be allowed to go, but Luna continues her questioning. She asks if he has a family, to which Zach responds that he happens to be an only son, a tradition that has persisted for 5 generations of Shufelts. She then inquires if he's married, and with a bashful look towards the villainess, Zach stammers that he hasn't found the right person yet and wonders if she'll show up one day. In her mind, Luna internally criticizes Zach, finding it hard to believe that a man like him could be Frid's ancestor, explaining why his family was in ruins by the time Frid was born. She mumbles to herself, pondering the idea of raising the Shufelt household back to its glory. Luna delves into deep thought, drawing parallels from the novel's story. In the novel, Frid's growth is hindered by countless lies and futile attempts to find the secret teachings of the Shufelt bloodline and a treasured sword of the family. She contemplates the idea of directly overseeing the household and protecting the treasured blade, thereby preventing Frid from encountering these useless struggles. This way, he would become skilled enough to destroy the ruler of the moon in a single strike. Luna reflects that others might consider her actions as madness, but all she has is money and time. She acknowledges that the first thing to do is to begin supporting and looking after the Shufelt household across generations. Luna speaks up, addressing Zach by his full name. Zach responds with, "Yes, ma'am." The villainess then tells him, "Let's start by fixing up that attitude of yours." Zach looks at her in confusion, unsure of what she means. And so the cross-generational project to raise the Shufelt household begins. Luna tells Zach that he needs to pay off his debts first. Zach, surprised, wonders if he can really have more money after receiving a chunk of gold. She reassures him that it's fine and instructs him to go pay off his dues. Zach expresses his disbelief at how he could ever repay this generosity. Meanwhile, in her mind, the villainess thinks in a somewhat mischievous manner she won't be killed by Zach's family. After the villainess gives gold coin to Zach, she describes Zach, revealing his irresponsible behavior, such as losing her first payment at gambling tables and spending hours passed out on the streets after drinking. She finds him even more pathetic than she originally thought. After all of this, they continue walking. Zach asks where she's taking him. Suddenly, his foot hits a skull on the ground, and he questions his presence. Behind him, a monster stands, seemingly fixated on Zach. Luna contemplates that maybe the Shufelt gift will accidentally emerge from Zach due to this encounter. She observes the situation and thinks that she expected this outcome. Nervous upon seeing the bear, Zach quickly climbs a tree and asks for help from Luna. And then Luna explains that she started training Zach every day, saved him when he almost died, and exposed him to monsters again and again. Over the years, Zach grew stronger and eventually became a respectable vampire hunter. Upon his last dying breath, he asked Luna to look after his daughter. Zach's daughter in hair, Marin Shufelt, was intelligent and diligent, a contrast to her father's reputation. Marin hunted monsters in the land and established the Shufelt household as a business, recruiting mercenaries for vampire hunting. After Marin's death, Luna supported subsequent generations of the Shufelt household from the shadows, ensuring her true identity remained concealed. Thankfully, most of the bloodline was highly skilled and Luna's direct involvement was rarely required. As time went on, the Shufelt household prospered, accumulating wealth and authority that even earned them titles of nobility. During this era, the legendary sword Nihil was forged, said to be made from refined minerals that had fallen from the heavens. Nihil was an extraordinary weapon that could stand against the ruler of the moon. However, in line with the novel's prophecy, Luna engaged in a battle against the head of the Shufelt household and shattered Nail into pieces. Just as Luna was beginning to take pride in her accomplishments, the forces of the Empire conspired against the Shufelt family. Through conscription and blackmail, they forced members of the Shufelt household to the front lines of war. Tragically, one by one, members of the Shufelt bloodline fell in battle. Luna then secured the shattered pieces of Nail in 13 different sanctums and kept one piece for herself. Luna, filled with anger and determination, declared that she wouldn't let centuries of hard work go in vain. As the battle raged on, an intense conflict unfolded, resulting in the defeat of the enemy general and the subsequent retreat of the opposing forces. With the fall of the enemy's general, the tide of battle turned in favor of Luna and the Shufelt household. Luna realized that her direct involvement had ended the grueling war. Due to their significant contributions to the war campaign, the Shufelt household was granted the prestigious title of the Duchy of Nilfgaard. As time went on, Luna's memories and emotions gradually faded away. However, before she lost all recollection of her past life, she made sure to document any memories related to the novel in books, preserving a record of her experiences. Despite the passage of years, Luna's desire for a peaceful resolution never waned. In fact, it only grew stronger with each passing day. The years continued to elapse until the long-awaited day finally arrived. A member of the Shufelt household, holding a newly born child in their arms, softly whispered to the baby. This child, born with a significant destiny to fulfill, was brought into the world. They named the child a name echoing through the legacy of their family, Frid Shufelt. Luna thought with a sense of happiness, finally seeing the fulfillment of her long-awaited hopes. She had a special corner in her heart reserved for the male protagonist she had anticipated for centuries. This sentiment stemmed from her worries about an unexpected twist occurring, leading her to doubt whether the baby with the same name might not be the right one after all. Luna sees Frid crying and says, "There he goes again. It's not his diaper, and he just ate. So why are you crying?" Luna shows him a toy to calm him down, and Frid stops crying and starts laughing. Luna gives Frid the toy, and he grabs her finger. Seeing this, Luna is surprised. One day, a servant in the palace felt that there was someone in Frid's room, but she couldn't see anyone there. Now 7 years old, Frid displayed remarkable sword skills, effortlessly defeating those who challenged him in swordplay. People found it hard to believe that Frid could become so skilled without extensive practice. At that time, the Luna was also present. Luna was pleased to witness Frid's performance, feeling that she had finally found her male protagonist. Luna noticed that Kaylee Shufelt, the current Duchess of Nehildar and matriarch of House Shufelt, also had her eyes on Frid. Kaylee Shufelt started training Frid in swordsmanship when he was a toddler. Despite objections, Kaylee persisted. By age 5, Frid was training like a knight. At 7, he was outperforming older squires. The household was amazed by his exceptional skills and high expectations grew. Luna's patience was running thin, and she couldn't wait any longer to observe Frid. One day, while playing ball, Frid accidentally threw his ball over the fence. Luna immediately threw it back without thinking, even beyond the fence. Frid told everyone that someone tossed the ball back, causing heightened security in the mansion. Luna realized she could wait until he's grown up. It was a minor wait compared to what she had endured so far. In the original story, Frid faced numerous challenges while trying to develop his gifts. Now, Frid is surrounded by the resources and people he needs to develop his gifts effortlessly. Now Luna just needs to find that girl who was present in the original story. At that moment, Luna realizes that they've never had an intruder before, as no one would dare enter these cursed woods. Suddenly, she catches the smell of blood and hears the sound of struggling breaths nearly fading away. She realizes it's a very young human. This is a young boy. His entire body was soaked in blood, and they were on the brink of death. Night approaches a boy and tells them not to hate her, as it was bound to happen eventually. She brings forward the child's fate, reminding them that all of this has been bestowed upon their bloodline, and they only have themselves to blame. Suddenly, Night senses someone moving through the bushes nearby. She becomes a bit uneasy, wondering how someone got so close without her sensing it. The mysterious figure remains hidden in the mist, and a voice speaks, instructing them to finish what she started and leave. The voice mentions being in a good mood and willing to ignore whatever Night does. Night flinches and questions if the person is a tracker sent by the first crown princess. As Meg tries to comprehend the situation, Luna suddenly appears before her. Before Night can fully grasp what's happening, Luna stabs her. Luna then tells Night that she warned her to leave and explains that she can't spare her now that she has seen her face. Luna mentions that rumors of a vampire in the cursed forest would attract the attention of the Shufelt household, and now that Frid is in the world, she doesn't want to complicate things further. A pack of wolves arrives, and they begin to devour Night. After finishing with Night, the wolf pack turns its attention towards the boy. However, before anything can happen, Luna appears before Boy and startles the wolves. Luna engages with Frid and tells him that he will die soon. Boy starts to contemplate why Luna thinks dying like this could be nice. Luna responds that death must be nice. Intrigued, Boy asks her how it could be so. Then Luna takes Boy to Dr. Gemina. The next day, two knights are searching in the forest for the second crown prince. They realize that this situation has become a major problem. They are concerned that the palace will soon be in chaos. If a wild animal had attacked him, there should be some remains left behind. They need evidence of his existence, whether dead or alive, to avoid becoming targets from all sides. If a wild animal took him, there should be some remains left, whether dead or alive. The knights need evidence of his existence to avoid becoming targets from all sides. If he is truly dead, the first crown princess, despite her tough demeanor, wouldn't stand to see her brother hurt by a stranger. If her younger brother disappears for good, it could lead to consequences. Luna explains that she saved the young boy on a whim, despite her inclination to let others die. She acknowledges her own twisted desires but admits to envying him. This is the second time she's acted impulsively and succeeded. The first instance resulted in a long, multi-generational connection with others, and now she's made him her familiar. Luna wonders how long this twist of fate will endure. Luna speaks to Dr. Gemina about the unconscious boy. Dr. Gemina is surprised that Luna barged in and insists she's not just an undertaker. Luna explains that the boy is her familiar, but Dr. Gemina is shocked. Luna stops her from dissecting him and wants to clean him up instead, despite Dr. Gemina's warning. Luna, feeling tired, sits down on a chair. She starts flipping through some papers on a table. Dr. Gemina, a renowned expert in monster studies, is introduced. She's known for collecting things related to monsters and her logical, systematic approach to studying them. Luna had saved her from a kidnapping attempt by strange organizations. Dr. Gemina is a character from The Hunter and the Saintess, initially an antagonist to the protagonist but later becoming a companion. Luna is glad she wrote this down before her memories faded. According to her notes, Dr. Gemina was an exceptional ally who created potions for monsters, including ones to reverse vampire bites and prevent werewolf frenzies, even a toxin to kill the ruler of the moon. Luna has one more child she wants to find, but it will require more time and effort. Dr. Gemina comments on the condition of the boy Luna brought, mentioning that he's lighter than she expected due to starvation before being bitten. Luna insists that he shouldn't be dissected. Dr. Gemina responds with sarcasm. Dr. Gemina asks Luna about the age of the boy, to which Luna responds that he's older than 10. Dr. Gemina estimates him to be around 12 or 13, indicating that he's in his growth period. She explains that vampires go through 2 growth periods before their prime, similar to a caterpillar shedding its skin and forming a cocoon. Luna inquires when he will wake up, and Dr. Gemina replies that he will probably awaken when his growth period ends, although she's not sure about the exact timing as it's a rare case she has never observed before. When Dr. Gemina checks Boy's eyes, she notices that his pupils are red. She questions why familiars are now part of the plan, to which Luna responds with sarcasm, saying that it's not a change in mind but just a result of her sudden whim. Dr. Gemina asks what Luna plans to do with him, and Luna explains that she will keep him there until he wakes up, and then she'll send him off. Dr. Gemina jokingly asks if she can have him for her experiments, as he would count as this month's monster sample. Luna can hear Dr. Gemina's crazy experiment ideas and responds with understanding. Luna and Dr. Gemina establish a trade where Luna delivers monster corpses and Dr. Gemina develops potions in return. Luna takes her role as a master seriously and starts the process to acquire research findings faster than expected. Despite Boy being supposed to set up such a relationship, Luna takes the initiative. After years of observation, Luna recognizes that Dr. Gemina doesn't speak nonsense, and this makes Luna wonder if she sees Boy as an important sample. Luna realizes that since Frid is her familiar, the ruler of the moon, providing him could significantly advance monster research. Dr. Gemina reflects on Luna, noting that despite Luna's current lack of knowledge, little is understood about the unique vampire relationship between a master and their familiar. There exists a bond that defies normal terms and is present even for the ruler of the moon. She recalls her first impression of Luna as a dominant and powerful presence, with emotionless eyes yet a glimpse of euphoria. This memory dates back to about 7 years ago. Dr. Gemina urges Luna to raise the familiar properly and points out that Luna has access to power and wealth. Luna refuses, and when Dr. Gemina questions her decision, Luna becomes angry and attacks her, causing her to collapse in the same spot. Luna confronts Dr. Gemina about her comments and expresses how angry she was. Dr. Gemina apologizes and Luna reflects on the change in Dr. Gemina's demeanor. Luna realizes that Dr. Gemina's intentions are not personal but rather driven by her own goals. Luna asks Dr. Gemina to stop provoking her and to maintain a civil tone. Dr. Gemini sarcastically acknowledges her attempt at provocation. Luna reflects on the passage of 3 years and recalls Dr. Gemini mentioning the time. She realizes that the time has passed longer than expected. Luna thinks about Frid, acknowledging that he turned 10 this year. She considers how skilled he was 3 years ago and wonders about his current abilities. Luna contemplates paying a visit to the Schufelt household. In the Schufelt household palace, servants are calling Frid outside his room, urging him not to break his father's heart and asking to see his face. Luna observes this situation from behind and thinks to herself, confused about what's happening. She wonders why Frid, the male lead, is isolating himself in his room and questions the changes that have occurred in the 3 years since she last visited. Luna explains that The Hunter and the Saintess is a fantasy romance novel where the male lead and female lead meet, fall in love, grow together, and eventually defeat the ruler of the moon. However, for this to happen, they first need to meet. Luna realizes that she didn't wait centuries to let this plan fail, so she decides to involve herself once again to ensure things go as intended. Luna, taking on the role of a teacher, goes to meet Frid's father. While a servant accompanies her, he explains that the statue has been granted by the high priest of the Grand Temple, and the obsidian blade resembles Nihil, the treasured sword of the Schufelt household. This blade, blessed by the high priest, can defeat monsters in a single swipe. He also points out the Knights of Light. Luna reflects on the pride associated with the household and the skilled Knights of Dawn of the Schufelt family. But this servant doesn't seem to recognize his sworn enemy, Luna herself, walking right behind him. Frid's father welcomes Luna and she responds with a polite introduction. They exchange pleasantries and Luna mentions her relationship with the Hernan estate, where she has experience educating Lord Hernan's children. Frid's father expresses embarrassment for not having heard of her before, and Luna humbly acknowledges that the Hernan household has many secrets that others may not be aware of. Luna explains that the Hernan household, despite having a short lineage, held prestige and the Emperor's trust. However, due to covert actions, information about House Hernan was scarce, leading to ridiculous rumors such as selling their souls to monsters. Luna also shares that their secretive nature helped her conceal her identity even better. Luna explains that she followed the guidance of the secretive Hernan household and worked discreetly. Frid's father inquires if she's a keeper of secrets, and she affirms that she is. He then mentions the rumors about his son's condition, and Luna acknowledges hearing about rumors of his severe disease. Frid's father agrees that it could be called a disease. Frid's father and Luna approach Frid's room, and his father calls out to Frid, mentioning the new teacher. Frid responds that he doesn't need one. His father tries to reassure him that there's still hope since he's responding, and Luna suggests trying to enter the room. His father warns about the possibility of being hurt by things Frid throws, but Luna is willing to try. Luna enters Frid's room and introduces herself as his new teacher. Frid tells her to leave, but Luna mentions the activities they'll be doing together. He angrily throws a book at her, but Luna calmly catches it. Frid's arrogance falters upon seeing her reaction. Luna reflects on the events that occurred before her arrival and realizes that this boy is the one she has been waiting for, her only hope for death. Frid, upon seeing Luna's stunt, asks how she managed it. Luna explains that she can now see his face. Frid insists that she stay away and warns that he might hurt her. Luna teases him for worrying about her and tries to touch his head, but he quickly tells her to stay away. Frid stammers and explains that he couldn't control himself and inadvertently hurt Luna. Luna places her hand on Frid's head, and he expresses concern for her. Luna assures him that she's fine and that the sting was only temporary. Frid mentions that he was warned not to let anyone get close to him, whether adults or children, because he might hurt them. Luna realizes that his power is too great for a 10-year-old to handle. Frid expresses that people call him a monster, and Luna reassures him that he isn't one. She shares her own discomfort with going outside. Suddenly, a man forcefully grabs Frid's hand and tries to make him go outside. Frid's father intervenes and questions why they're forcing him. In anger, Frid breaks the man's hand, causing his father to become alarmed. Frid begins to tremble and blames himself for ruining everything. Luna comforts him by suggesting they stay inside and assures him that she won't let anyone make him go outside. Frid is uncertain, but Luna reminds him that she's his teacher and he should listen to her. This reassures him and makes him happy. All the children of the Scheffel bloodline were born under a curse, ironically bound to a life of battling monsters. This curse has shaped the noble Scheffel family into what it is today. Though each family member possesses unique talents, Frid stands out. He's considered the family's most exceptional talent, usually emerging in the mid-teens. However, Frid's case is different. His talent emerged unusually early and is distinct from others. This exceptional ability seems to be the root cause of his struggles. He struggles to harness this incredible talent within his young body, often losing control and displaying his power carelessly. Luna announces her entry into Fred's room, but suddenly, Fred attacks her with a chair. Luna manages to catch the chair and hold it steady. Fred then apologizes to Luna, but she interrupts him, preventing him from apologizing further. Luna reflects on how Fred's defensive reaction to her entry resembled that of a monster. She contemplates the Scheffel family's bloodline, which has similarities to that of a monster. Despite their desire to eliminate monsters, they have delved into a dangerous path. Luna acknowledges that monsters don't isolate themselves to prevent harming others, unlike Fred. She realizes she can't just watch and decides to intervene, even though she initially wanted to die. The thought of helping Fred control his power surfaces, leading to a new plan. Fred questions the need to clean up, and Luna points out the broken glass on the floor. She assures him they can avoid the glass and play soccer if the cleaning is done. Luna opens the window to ventilate the room, and Fred closes his eyes. Luna comments on the nice weather outside. When they're playing, the ball gets torn due to Fred's strength. Luna wonders why he's struggling to control his power, and Fred apologizes. Luna thinks it's partly her fault and realizes she needs a stronger ball that can withstand his strength. She contemplates the situation and decides there's no other way. Luna expresses her reluctance to visit the Hernan household mansion. Count Hernan questions her presence here, mentioning a referral for her new job. Luna is surprised that he appeared directly and asks how he knew she was there. The Count explains that it's his territory. Luna says she's there to thank him for the recommendation. The Count mentions old friendship and favors, warning her it won't happen again. He invites her inside to continue the conversation and asks others to leave. Count Hernan apologizes for his disrespect, and Luna apologizes for coming unannounced. The Count then states that everything in Hernan belongs to Luna, referring to her as their eternal master. The Hernan family has a secret purpose, and Luna's role as their teacher is linked to it. The family was established for a specific reason, and Luna and Bran are connected to it. The family's ancestors sought refuge in the hidden location during post-war chaos. Luna used to enjoy the isolation of the area, which was a secret hideout for her. However, the war and deforestation caused the secluded forest to shrink. Luna met Bran Hernan, who was seen as a monster due to his unique traits. People believe his power cursed the village. The chaos of war led to the appearance of monsters, which became an outlet for people's anger. They mistook Bran for a monster due to his unique appearance and intended to kill him. Despite being discovered, Bran didn't fear or flee. Luna saved Brian's life. He expressed his gratitude to Luna for saving his life and pledged his loyalty, offering his possessions and future generations to her. Since then, the Hernan family has faithfully served Luna from one generation to the next. Despite being comprised of normal individuals with no connection to monsters, it's intriguing how this family has always been intertwined with matters of blood. Count says he's willing to provide Luna with whatever she needs. Luna asks for a ball knitted with Iraq cobweb thread out of wolf skin. Count agrees and estimates it will take about a day. Luna assures him that quality matters more than speed. Count admires Luna's generosity and invites her to stay while they prepare. Luna sits down and feels tired. Then she hears a voice asking if they have a guest and wonders if they should check. Luna recognizes the voice of children and approaches, where they excitedly exclaim, "Miss Luna." Louis and Judith greet Luna as their eternal master. Luna asks about their health, mentioning Louis had a fever, and inquires about Judas. Judith corrects Luna's pronunciation of his name and asserts that he's now 8 years old. Luna teases him about growing up. Judith then decides to leave, but Luna shows him candy she bought as a gift. Although Judith initially declines, he ends up enjoying the candy. Louis also asks for some candy from Luna. Luna gives Louis some candy, and he's amazed at how soft it is. Luna explains that the candy is made from flour and thin sugar fibers, and it's a snack unique to the island. She suggests they go to the living room to eat. Judith and Louis express their amazement at how the candy melts in their mouths and how it appears hard when it's hot. Luna observes their reactions and thinks about how she was initially surprised by their birth due to the Hernan family's bloodline. Despite that, she cares deeply for them and is willing to risk her life for them. She notes that Louis can display various expressions and Judas even more. She finds joy in spending time with them, especially since Judith's anger can be easily appeased with delicious food. Alan arrives and scolds Judas and Louis for their behavior. Luna defends them and advises Alan not to scold them. Alan instructs Judith to stand with a neat demeanor in front of the owner and reprimands them for being rude to their master. Luna reminds Judas to take some candy before they leave. Despite the scolding, Luna encourages Louis to take some candy to share with Judas, showing her care for them. Alan expresses his discontent about the children's disrespectful behavior and urges Luna not to forgive them. Luna reassures Alan that she was just playing around and doesn't mind. Alan expresses gratitude for her presence. Luna mentions bringing food and questions the notion of it being a grace. She then comments on how quickly the twins are growing and asks about a successor. Alan explains that he plans to make a decision regarding succession after they graduate from the academy. Luna reflects on how it feels like just yesterday that the twins were learning to walk, and now they're already growing up. She mentions having free time after Fred was born and not realizing when she started having feelings for the twins. She hopes that if she dies by Fred's hands, it will free the children from the obligation of serving a monster. Luna finds her ability to move through shadows very convenient, but it becomes difficult to use when the sun is up. She expresses the need for a temporary place to stay, and Alan offers to deliver the necessary luggage by carriage. Luna declines, saying there's nothing to bring, but then she remembers an annoying ornament. Luna contemplates whether she should leave the annoying ornament in the forest. Alan offers the use of a carriage near the forest, and Luna remarks on how the Hernan family always provides what she needs, wondering if it's due to their observation skills or the accumulated information about her over generations. Luna wonders if the child has woken up yet. Alan informs her that a skilled craftsman is taking care of the leather ball she requested, and he will send it to her through a courier. He surprises Luna by offering her a key and revealing that he has prepared a mansion for her to live in near the capital area. Luna is surprised and reflects on the fact that it took a long time due to repairs and hiring a butler. Indeed, Alan Hernan's efficiency and dedication stand out. Despite the short time frame, he was able to purchase a mansion, oversee repairs, and arrange for a butler to be hired, all while maintaining a high level of quality. Luna recognizes Alan's exceptional abilities and trusts him to carry out tasks with utmost care and precision. His actions reflect his commitment and loyalty to Luna. Luna's thoughts reveal that despite the extensive resources and connections of the Hernan family, there is one individual named Dr. Gemina whom they haven't been able to locate for over a decade. Dr. Gemina seems to have been deliberately evading their search efforts. Luna is also focused on finding another person named Cynthia, who is connected to a major incident. Luna notes that the scope of their search has narrowed down, indicating that something significant may be happening. Luna also reminisces about her hideout in the cursed forest that she used to frequent. Inside her hideout, Luna discovers dust, and as she moves forward, she finds an unconscious child. She then takes out a book from among others and starts reading it. Luna realizes that it's a notebook summarizing the contents of The Hunter's Saint. She contemplates the idea of writing a new copy since her old notes have become difficult to read. She mentions how she had transcribed the contents and burned the old notes before. The notebook is the only thing she took with her when she moved. Luna also ponders that if she changes her residence, this place would no longer be usable. In an instant, Luna feels a strange sensation in her head, a feeling rather than an emotion, as if a piece of knowledge emerged from a corner of her mind. The child wakes up and asks Luna who she is. Luna realizes she feels embarrassed. The child asks where they are, and Luna replies that they are in the cursed forest. The child seems confused about being in a forest and mentions being chased by a pursuer and a man. Luna ponders over the strange feelings and the shifting boundaries of her senses. The child asks about the whereabouts of the person who bit them. Luna questions if the child is human, and the child describes a person with silver hair and red eyes who bit them. Luna realizes it's already sunrise and comes to the realization that the person the child is talking about is her. Luna reflects on how the sense of strange feelings is growing stronger as she talks. She wonders if the emotions of the Hernan family are being transmitted to her as the owner. Luna believes that someone with rich emotions could interpret these sensations, which are a blend of overwhelming feelings, resentment, and confusion that she cannot fully define. The child asks Luna who she is and why she's there. Luna responds that this is one of the hideouts she was managing as a subordinate and that she doesn't even know where the owner is. The child remarks that Luna's answer is evasive, and Luna decides it's best to leave the conversation. The child named Lean asks Luna to wait and inquires about her name. Luna introduces herself as Luna and asks for Lean's name. Lean reveals his name to be Lean and mentions that Luna's owner should have arrived by now as she's his subordinate. Luna explains that she never knows when he will come, and it could take several years. Lean insists that he wants to go with Luna when her owner comes. Luna, feeling uneasy, wonders why she has to take Lean with her. Lean responds that he is her owner's family, and Luna counters that they only met for a few minutes. Luna suggests to Lean that it would be better for him to move on and find a new life rather than waiting for her owner. Luna realizes that Lean is deliberately hiding his anxiety and that he had turned into a vampire overnight after being chased by a pursuer. She understands his reasons for feeling anxious. Luna lays down her conditions for Lean to stay with her. She tells him not to complain about food, clothing, and shelter, to eat what she provides and wear what she gives. She also instructs him not to bother her, especially at night, and warns that she'll kick him out if he does. Lastly, she specifies that if her owner doesn't show up within a year, Lean should leave immediately. Lean expresses his concern that 1 year is too short, but Luna explains that if her owner doesn't show up within a year, it's likely that he won't show up for even more years. She offers Lean a place to stay, but reminds him that she usually doesn't stay in one place for long. Luna explains that the reason for setting a 1 year period is not just arbitrary. It's because within that time, she aims to teach Lean how to live as a vampire and become more independent. She emphasizes that delaying this process could risk revealing Lean's identity as a vampire. Luna lays out her conditions and then starts to walk away. However, Lean hesitates, thinking to himself. Eventually, Lean decides to chase after Luna and asks her to wait. Luna stops upon hearing Lean's voice and turns to face him. Lean expresses that he hasn't even reached his new home yet. As Luna sits in her mansion, sipping tea, she comments on how warm it is. She explains that the blood she's consuming is freshly drawn, and the mansion's janitor, hired by Alan, takes care of everything related to the mansion, almost like a butler. Luna asks the janitor, whose name is Windy, if she heard his name correctly, to which Windy confirms that his name is indeed Windy Rabbit. Windy Rabbit is responsible for various tasks in the mansion, including cleaning, gardening, making beds, and even slaughtering chickens every 3 days to provide blood. Luna is surprised by how Windy, at such a young age, is able to twist the neck of a chicken, despite being a vampire. She acknowledges that while she knew he was a vampire from the start, it's remarkable that he took on the role of a butler in the mansion. Luna assumes that Alan must have hired him for this position. Luna asks Windy about the kid who recently entered the mansion and if he has the same blood as her. Windy confirms that they provide the boy vampire with 100 ml of chicken blood with the same frequency as Luna. Luna expresses concern about whether the boy is eating well, and Windy apologizes. Luna reassures him not to apologize and informs Windy that she'll take care of things from now on. She mentions packing the luggage she brought with her, to which Windy responds with agreement. Windy reflects on how he feels uncomfortable around the owner and notices that his body stiffens when he stands in front of her. It's not just fear of vampires, but something else too. Luna leaves the room and Windy seems to calm down. He mentions that Luna asked for his name today. For 2 weeks, Luna couldn't remember Windy's name, but she was always kind and polite. Windy reflects that he has never had an employer like her before, and her behavior makes a strong impact on him. Lean lies on his bed, tired and reflecting on how becoming a vampire has affected him. He notices a newspaper on a table and starts reading it. Just then, Luna enters his room, commenting that his 3-year slumber is evident in the newspaper. Lean realizes that he was conscious during those 3 years despite his body being asleep. He reflects on his thoughts during that time and acknowledges that he would have preferred not to wake up, but now he's in this situation. Hearing footsteps, Lean considers who it could be and realizes it's not the mansion's butler. Luna comments that she had set conditions for him. Lean internally urges himself to pretend to sleep. Luna reminds him not to complain about food, clothing, and shelter, to which Lean responds that he didn't complain. Luna questions him further and Lean admits that he initially tried to drink blood but struggled. Luna reassures him that his body will adjust and advises him to communicate if he's hungry instead of starving himself. Luna tells Lean that he shouldn't have refrained from complaining and expresses frustration. Lean seems alarmed when Luna mentions drinking and he comments that it looks like human blood. Luna clarifies that she obtained it from a doctor she knows and reassures Lean not to imagine unnecessary things or feel guilty about it. Luna opens the bottle of blood and offers it to Lean, but he declines. Luna responds, acknowledging that she didn't intend to break the conditions. Lean retorts, saying that whether he starves or not doesn't matter to her. As the owner, Luna was able to share the feelings of the family, including her hunger. However, even though the family was hungry, it didn't mean Luna was starving. Nonetheless, the annoyance of it persisted. He had refrained from drinking blood for the 3 years he slept, so upon waking up, he must have felt incredibly thirsty. The reason he continued to reject drinking blood was likely that he feared someone from his family would die as a result. Luna accuses Lean of wanting to die, pointing out that he deliberately left the curtains open despite knowing vampires are vulnerable to sunlight. She implies that he believed he wouldn't get burned, and if that failed, he assumed he would starve to death by not drinking blood. Lean is left confused by Luna's accusations. Luna forcefully grabs Lean's face and feeds him blood against his will, saying that she doesn't care if he starves or not. She tells him that no matter how hungry he gets, he won't die. Even if he starves for a day, it won't matter. After a week, he won't want to do anything. After a month, he'll want to swallow anything. After a year, it will hurt. Lean tries to protest, asking how Luna, being an ordinary human, could know about starvation. Luna responds that she has experienced it herself and explains that people usually die after a week of starvation, and after about a year they suffer as if they are going to die multiple times. But even after all that suffering, they won't die. She urges Lean to drink the blood, filling his mouth with the liquid from the bottle she had earlier. Luna continues to tell him that whether he drinks or doesn't drink, he won't die either way, and she shares that if she could have died from her own experiences, she would have died countless times. Luna and Dr. Gemina are discussing something. Dr. Gemina suggests that the probability of the family resembling the characteristics of the owner is very high. Luna seems frustrated, realizing she might have been talking for nothing. Dr. Gemina wants to know more about the differences. Luna is hesitant to share and mentions that they should talk about it in moderation. Dr. Gemina expresses surprise that a raw branch of an unprocessed divine tree is in front of her, indicating that she finds it unexpected and rare. Luna observes the tree branch and thinks it looks like an ordinary branch. She asks if raw twigs like this are helpful for research. Dr. Gemina responds that the divine tree is not exclusive to the imperial family and is a magical site, but entry is prohibited due to its significance. A realm inhabited by mighty monsters, among them the hard-to-touch magical sites, were given special names. The demonic spirit ruled by the werewolf king is called the wolf's demonic spirit. The cave where the centipede monster lives is the same as the magic scenery of the celestial dragon. So there were a total of 13 magical sites. Luna asks if these are the teenage magi. Dr. Gemina explains that it's because 3 places are already occupied. She further explains that magical sites were scattered all over the world and were rich in rare medicinal herbs and minerals. People believed that if they returned alive, they could become rich. However, many lost their lives to monsters because only the conqueror could claim the rewards. Even mercenaries and nobles aiming for quick gains didn't return. Afterward, the imperial family managed the magical sites and prohibited entry. Dr. Gemina mentions that the god tree is a very rare monster. Luna adds that every tree in the forest actually has roots from a divine tree. Dr. Gemina explains that this is why it's dangerous to enter the forest, as people who go in are gradually deprived of nutrients and die. Luna realizes that it's similar to the cursed forest she knows. Dr. Gemina explains that she wants to show Luna something interesting. She mentions that after many people died, it was revealed that the forest was not an ordinary one. She wanted to clear the forest, but since no one could enter, it seemed impossible. However, the local lord came up with a plan. Dr. Gemina lights a stick from the pile of wood, and Luna, puzzled at first, realizes that they must have decided to make a fire. As Dr. Gemina lights the stick, Luna notices that the stick doesn't burn. Dr. Gemina explains that the forest was enchanted, and despite trying to clear it with fire, it wouldn't burn. Eventually, the imperial family hired someone to manage the forest, preventing it from growing further by cutting it down periodically. Dr. Gemina explains that all the trees cut down from the enchanted forest are specially processed and sold at a high price, representing the value of a life. Luna comments on how precious that is. Dr. Gemina then asks about the family they were discussing, and Luna frustratedly realizes they got sidetracked from their original conversation. Luna mentions that the blood of animals in her circle doesn't seem to come from their bodies, and Lean barely drank human blood. Dr. Gemina listens with amusement and expresses her satisfaction that the blood she provided was put to good use. Luna continues, mentioning that Lean doesn't get burned by sunlight, but he sometimes falls asleep during the day due to something like narcolepsy. Despite Lean's peculiar behaviors, like drinking all the blood and then falling asleep, Luna found herself more frustrated than necessary that day. She felt that she had brought Lean to see Dr. Gemina for nothing. Over the past few hundred years, Luna's emotions had generally remained calm and serene. While she had her moments of agitation, those were rare exceptions, as was the case with Scheffel. Luna's demeanor towards others was generally kind, but her family didn't share the same kind attitude. Luna regrets her decision to have saved Lean's life, feeling that it might have been better to let him die. She mentions the idea of a quick and painless death, with males and females serving that purpose, and emphasizes that there was no need for a familial connection in between. Dr. Gemina doesn't fully understand the context and implications of Luna's words. Luna reflects on the similarities between Lean and her past self, especially how Lean's situation reminds her of Chef. She likens Lean's suffering and hunger to her own experiences and feels a strong emotional connection to the situation. This connection evokes powerful emotions within her. Luna and Dr. Gemina discuss the concept of vampires sharing their strength to create a clan. Dr. Gemina explains that it's common for family members to have similar abilities to the owner, and that the abilities might not be perfect. Luna then mentions the idea that the owner can sense the feelings and status of their family members, and Dr. Gemina expresses skepticism about this possibility. Luna asks Dr. Gemina about the possibility of the family members feeling the owner's condition. Dr. Gemina questions the definition of a family member, and Luna defines it as beings who have been unilaterally endowed with the power given by their master. Luna mentions that sometimes the connection of feelings goes from top to bottom, but not from bottom to top. She asks if this means that the family members don't know about the owner. Dr. Gemina explains that while the family members might have some sense of the owner's feelings, it wouldn't be as strong as what the owner feels. She also mentions that it's still a research area. Dr. Gemina asks if Luna wants to drink poison, which confuses Luna. Dr. Gemina clarifies that she's suggesting a test, even though it might not work. She wants to see a reaction and mentions that drinking poison would naturally hurt. Luna reflects on how she offered Minna a poison study in the past, even though Frid and Cynthia couldn't kill her. In the original novel, the poison was never actually used. Cynthia didn't use the poison that Gemina provided. This was the reason she wanted to defeat the Lord of the Moon with her own power rather than relying on poison. Luna doesn't know if the poison will work, but she looks to Gemina for even the slightest possibility that she could die. Dr. Gemina gives Luna the poison, saying it's a hopeful advice. Luna acknowledges that she believed in a slim possibility and made many attempts, but she's still standing unharmed. Despite the thin chances of success, she asks for the poison. Dr. Gemina hands the poison to Luna. Luna drinks the poison, feeling an odd sensation after drinking it. She starts experiencing pain and shouts in agony, expressing how painful it is. Luna collapses to the floor in pain, and Dr. Gemina watches everything unfold. Dr. Gemina remarks that the effects of the poison lasted only about a minute, which Luna finds ridiculously short. Luna questions if she heard correctly, and Dr. Gemina asks what she's talking about. Luna realizes that she might have hallucinated and thinks that unless Gemina did something to her. Luna reflects on the experience, wondering if it was truly a hallucination. The voice she heard felt too vivid to be dismissed as a mere hallucination. The familiarity of the voice and the way it felt like a whisper right in her ear were unsettling sensations for her.